Several studies, both large and small, suggest that men have a tougher time than women do when a romantic relationship ends. For example, a team of researchers, right, at the University of British Columbia conducted a particular research. They conducted a study examining the ways in which men seek or fail to seek mental health help after a relationship ends. Now, this particular study included 47 men, 26 of whom had separated or divorced from their partners, and 33 of whom were single as at the time of this research. As at the time of this study, these 47 men, 26 of whom had been separated or divorced, and 33 of whom were single during the study. Now, the subject's partners, as the partners of this subject, all right, had initiated about half of the breakups, which means that looking at all of them, it looks as though they were, the partners were the ones who initiated this breakup. Now, the result indicated that men did not do particularly well emotionally in the aftermath of their breakups. As part of this study, the subjects were asked to fill out a screening form, all right, a screening tool for depression. More than half showed result that indicated mild to moderate depression. And of those particular ones who had these particular symptoms or of this subject, about half said they had experienced suicidal thoughts during that same period, when they had the breakup, that is suicidal thoughts in the prior 2 weeks. Because one of the things to diagnose depression is that you'll be consistently sad for at least 2 weeks. Now, this is concerning, or this calls for concern, all right, because according to the study's author, divorced men are 8 times more likely to die by suicide than divorced women. I'll repeat that. Divorced men are 8 times more likely to die by suicide than divorced women. Now, this is the season of showing love and affection, but it could also turn, to a day of breakups and walkaways. Hi, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Suicidal Francis, and I am your host on this channel. Here we talk about relationships, mental health, thought leadership, and basically wellness and thought leadership. Now, today we look at the mental health of men after a breakup and why women do better. I'll see you after the break. Don't go anywhere. All right, so welcome back. Now we're looking at how men behave, all right, when they experience heartbreaks, either in form of a relationship or they're already married and then they get to separate, or they get divorced and all that. Now, it's no surprise that men fare worse than women after a breakup or a romantic relationship ends. Now, according to Richard Reeves, who happens to be a writer and a senior fellow at the Brookings Institution, who authored a particular book called Of Boys and Men, Why the Modern Male is Struggling, Why It Matters, and What to Do About It. This book was published in 2022. Now, Reeves has specifically studied the aftermath of divorce, a period in which men struggle across a range of issues, a range of categoric issues, for example, employment issues, health issues, and finances, and he compared that with women within that same period to see how they fared. Now, women initiate divorce twice as often as men do, which could lead to them being in a stronger position afterwards. Now, the stereotype of marriage being more important to women is actually not true. The truth of the matter is relationships, companionship, marriage is as important to men as it is to women. And so Reeves found out that the stereotype of marriage being more important to women is not true. And he cited a study in 2016 in which 58% of men indicated that being married was very important to them. Thus, 47% of women. And so you had 58% of men who said being married was of more importance to them. And then you had 47 women who said, look, marriage is important. And so that broke the barrier or the long-term conversation or argument that marriage was more important to women than men. So what's a change? This then helped to understand that divorce is tougher on men's mental health than it is on women's mental health. Now let's look at some factors that play a role as to why men struggle with their mental health when there's a breakup. Number one is the friendship factor. And so I'd like to ask a simple question from the men who are watching this video. Do you have a close or a best friend? Now, the main factor the boys and men after relationships end is the fact that they have these friendship networks. Women simply are more skilled at maintaining close ties with pals over the years. They keep the bond, they keep their relationships, they keep their friends over the years, and this serves them well when they need to talk, when they need to cry, or just vent about their emotional state. However, and in contrast, right, it's perceived that that what men call male friendship recession happens, and that can hurt men, which in the sense that they claim to have friends, but really they don't have these friends when things happen. So we call it male friend recession, and it can hurt men when they most need solid companionship. One thing you realize about men is that quick say, hey guy, forget about it, move on. There are many fishes in the ocean. You don't have to think about this, money about this. But the truth of the matter is that man is actually not healing. And so a study was done in May 2021 by American Perspective Survey, which found that 15% of men today claim to have no close friends, compared to 3% who said the same in 1990. So in 1990, there were 3% who didn't have many friends, but as of 2021, a huge number, an increase in that number. Now, in this particular survey, again, 48% of women said they had engaged in a private conversation in which they shared personal feelings with a friend during the prior week. Now, wait for it. Just 30% of men did that. And so that tells you that women hold on more to their relationships over the years than men do, and they always find someone to share things with. Now, 41% of women indicated receiving emotional support from a friend within the past 1 week. Only 1 in 5 men said the same. So this friendship cycle plays a great deal as to how people recover from whatever feeling of sadness or depression that they experience when there is a breakup in any form of relationship whatsoever. Now, while women put in the time and effort to keep their friendships going, men are most likely to focus most of their emotional energies on their romantic relationships. And there lies the problem. Men usually most times focus their relationships on romantic relationships, focus their emotional energies on romantic relationships, whereas women focus their energies on building friendship, either with their partner or with the people involved in their lives, that is their friends, which they have kept over the years. And that is supposed for women to have my BFF. Now let's talk about toxic masculinity and the concept of isolation and cultural expectation. Now, people get a healthy chunk of their self-esteem from social groupings. Now, social groupings, it's when people come together under a name. So, something that men often lack, right? And when a breakup or any difficult situation happens or occurs, not having that support can be extremely difficult for men. These days, though, we'll see men forming social groups for certain purposes, but the truth of the matter is it still plays a role as to how they succeed or how they manage themselves when things go wrong with them emotionally. So some experts also point to the fact that cultural expectations of the society of men, what might be termed toxic masculinity, has made men see that one reason men flounder after breakup is because of this social construct, right? That they have to be strong and they have to keep themselves together. So for too long, society has rewarded men for acting like boys. So instead of men being themselves, they've treated them like boys. Cracking jokes and taking risks may be a way for a man to attract a woman, but the thrill often wears off, and when a woman ends things, the man is left confused and unable to seek the help and knowledge that is needed for that particular phase of life. I remember back then in secondary school, we used to have all these games of you cannot toast this babe and she would agree, oh no, she would not agree, and stuff like that. And so this experience that men have leaves them confused and unable to seek the help and the knowledge that is needed for them to heal. But it is not usually like that for the female folks, because they don't experience that toxicity. They are allowed to vent, they are allowed to cry and all that. The next one is that men go out to look for connection online. So in the absence of solid friend groups, some men hurting after a breakup may take solace in the internet. This can be good or bad depending on how men use it. And that's why sometimes you find those who seem to be the pedophiles or who are actually pedophiles. Now, this can be good or bad depending on how they use it. Now, there's a difference between going down the rabbit hole of porn or gaming 24/7 and spending time seeking web-based support communities. Two different things. So the difference between you going there and you're digging up stuff is very from when you're seeking web opportunities or communities rather that can support you. Now, although this isn't exactly the same as having a heart-to-heart conversation with a real-world friend, talking to strangers online can also, be comforting for some persons. It can help you, you found someone that you can you found someone that you can talk to, and a host of other things. Now, in the University of British Columbia study of 47 men, Some of the participants said that they were involved in online forums to try to heal after their breakup. Now, a much larger study out of the UK analyzed more data. They analyzed about 184,000 help seekers on an online community Reddit, and found that 54.62% of the users in the subreddit, which is subreddit relationship, right, were men. Right, 54.62% out of the 184,000 were men. Now, most of them actually were between 18 and 24 years old. So look at the gap, very young and youthful. Now, while they were seeking connection in this forum, they tended to mention things like Heartbreak fairly frequently. And so you do realize that even though they may not be able to interact with people physically, men tend to find online fora where they are not really known, but they want to interact with people and meet people. So the study's findings don't mean that men are necessarily more invested emotionally than women are in relationships, but it simply just helps us to understand that they are more invested than society gives them credit for. Men are very invested in relationships and emotional relationships than the society gives them credit for. Now, this study did not look at whether online engagement ended up helping the men with their emotional difficulties or not. It just looked at how they existed in the online community and how they took the online community as a way for them to keep going and a way for them to, deal with those difficulties. So how then can you heal as a man from breakup? So whether you're a guy who's been through the relationship ringer or you have a friend who is in this situation, experts have concluded by saying that there are healthy ways to move past a relationship heartbreak. There are healthy ways to move past the loss of a relationship, the loss of a marriage, and one of them is acknowledge and sit with your difficult feelings. It's important that you acknowledge that this has happened. It's important that you acknowledge that you're experiencing this and accept, that you have this difficult feeling. There is no getting around the fact that a romantic split hurts, and that's just the honest truth. A breakup is not easy, and so whether you need to face up to that to yourself or prove affirmation to a friend, it is important that you sit down and accept the fact that this breakup has happened, this dissolution has happened. I need to get myself back up and get myself to heal, all right, and understand that the pain it causes is normal. Every breakup comes with its own pain, and it is normal. Your pain is not different from that of Charles. The fact that you're feeling pain does not mean that Charles did not feel pain when his own happened. It's just how you're feeling that matters, but you need to accept that it is normal for you to feel that pain. Turn to close relationships. Don't leave relationships at the door when embarking on a new relationship. Very important. Particularly friendships with other men, right? So in the past, women traditionally relied on marriage for economic support, while men relied on marriage for psychosocial support. But that is changing now, because now as women have surged ahead financially and professionally, they are less dependent on the financials of the man. They are less reliant on the man. And so many of them are having time to also invest in psychological dependence, and lots of men still have an unhealthy psychological dependence on their female partners. So it is critical to seek out and nurture strong bonds with other men. That you're getting into a relationship, that you're getting married, is not enough for you to put aside the relationship that you have with other men. Some persons have done this in the past and they have been beaten for it. So that you're getting into a married life doesn't mean that you throw away your male friends. They are important, and this goes for women as well. The third point is seek support via social groups. While online networks may provide a sense of connection, hanging out in person remains very important, particularly for men going through a breakup and who may not feel that other things in life, such as work, are going particularly well. Don't use work to cover up as to the reason why you're not hanging out with people. Make that time. This loss of mission is likely to hit middle-aged men more than younger ones. They may feel that they have no life purpose, no meaning, and they are alone, all right? And that's a very, very hard thing to land in, when you begin to feel that there is nothing for you anymore. You are all alone. There is nothing else for you to do. So it's important that you, as much as possible, build those connections and go out there to hang out with people and not just chat with them online, so that you can find yourself back. Now, I may understand that this particular video is not supposed to help you completely heal from that trauma or that pain, but it's important for you to understand that whatever it is that you're going through, there is help out there and you can actually heal. So feel free to hit the subscribe button, send me an email if you want to talk to someone, and I will be there to listen to you. Thank you once again for joining me. My name is Solisha Francis. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.